apologize. Danny is not here today. We had a little bit of a miscommunication on the time, but we wanted to respect our guests' time. So we're still going to record the podcast and we're going to figure it out as we go. So today, just a recap for the podcast and podcast listeners. So Danny and I are high school friends. We caught up about 20 years after we graduated on Zoom after the high school reunion. And we just caught up, had conversations because we were sharing the same piece of content. And Paulie shares very similar content as well to his motivation, health and fitness and family. And he's also a life coach. So that's why he's on the episode today. And he's a busy man and productive man. So we wanted to get an insight from a doctor here. And I'll tell you a little bit about how we know each other and everything. So it's basically me catching up with some of my old friends that I've met and seen and just have the opportunity to catch up and share what I'm doing as well too. So that's part of my why. My mission is to help. Our mission is to help elevate the collective vibration. So if I'm productive, I want everybody else to be productive as well too. So that's why we have a podcast, and we have a lot of people are now kind of interested in the podcast and the personal development field. So our content is meant to be relevant, is meant to be actionable, is meant to be productive at the same time. But our episodes drop on Monday and Friday. That's the same time we record our podcast at 6 a.m. and 4 p.m. on Friday. And hit the subscribe button. We're on YouTube and we're on Spotify. And yeah, that's so the podcast, the Flow Out podcast. And I do want to introduce our guest, Dr. Paulie Zamudio. So how do I know Dr. Paulie Zamudio? He is through a mutual friend of mine that actually went to Lake Braddock. His name is Dr. Mohammed Chowdhury. Everybody knows him that went to Lake Braddock. Knows him as Usman. He went by Usman back in the day. He was on the football team. So that's how I know Dr. Paulie Zamudio. I met him when I would visit him in New York. I went to, I think it was Brooklyn that I went to visit Usman, and we hung out for, I think, like a dinner. And we got to know each other for a little bit, but it wasn't that much. But then we became Facebook friends, and I don't think we ever met in person after that. But we started following each other and started, just supporting each other. But welcome to the show, and thank you for being a guest of the podcast. And tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your resume and your mission and what you're doing.
So, like Sam said, I'm Paul Zamudio. You guys don't have to call me doctor. I hate when people call me doctor. I'd rather be as informal as possible because, again, like what Sam said, this is all part of the collective. We're all colleagues.
Yeah.
We're all here to empower each other. But so, yeah, me and Sam, we met each other. Actually, we met in the city because Sam came in and visited from Virginia, I believe.
Yeah, I was in Virginia. Yep.
Yep. And then we came up, had a dinner, went to a hookah bar for a little bit.
Yeah, I think I remember
and, that. We were all vibing. Definitely, Sam, I believe at that point you were big into CrossFit and training at that point, coming up and everything. But yeah, that's the thing. It's funny how people with similar thinking, after a while, it doesn't matter how long you don't see each other, you guys regroup at the end.
Yeah.
We followed each other over Facebook for how many years since we last saw each other?
It's been I think at least like 10 years or 8 years.
At least. Yeah. It's been a decent amount of years. And actually I was looking forward to see you at Mo's wedding.
Were you there?
Yeah. In New York?
Oh, in New York. I didn't go to that one.
Yeah.
He had one in Virginia. I went to that one.
Yeah, we couldn't. Me and the wife couldn't make it to Virginia, but
okay.
He had one for her family up here in New York, but that was a ball, man.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I'm a nephrology critical care physician, so I deal with things like kidneys, dialysis, acid-based stuff, and ICU patients.
Yeah.
That's my day in and day out. The way I fell into life coaching and my specific niche. The niche is critical thinking mindset building. So, we've come into this age where people are more so followers than thinkers and problem solvers.
Mm,
And I've always believed that apart from helping people physically, I'm here also to help people mentally. And in the personal development game, we should be helping people empower themselves and building themselves mentally. Um, I mean, that's our job also as parents. I mean, we're here to bring up
yeah,
children that can empower themselves, that can stand on their own 2 feet. That's our job as coaches.
yeah,
We force the envelope with our clients, with our friends, our families, so that when it gets to their hard times, they can be like, I got this.
yeah,
I developed myself, and I've empowered myself to say, I have all the power, all the tools and things I need to solve this problem on any given day.
yeah. Absolutely, man. Like personal power and personal development, it's a big thing that like I like to promote. And I use different words and everything, but I think it's all very similar when we say the collective vibrations or like,
Yeah.
hey, we're mentoring, we're coaching, we're teaching and stuff. That's all part of like what human nature is. So now like you you're not fully life coach or anything, but it's kind of like a thing that you do just because it's like a community service type thing. You have your physician job as your main job, and then you have
Yeah.
family, you have life coaching that you're kind of starting to expand your interest and everything.
Hmm.
And from my understanding is you already did like a life coaching certification as well too, right?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And then you're also training for marathon. So let us know, like, for somebody, especially a physician. I like to say doctors because I have doctors on the podcast now.
All
It
good.
makes me sound like I'm an expert, but I'm not a doctor either. But I like to say I
All
have
good,
doctors
man.
on the podcast. Real smart people on the podcast that make me sound smart. But that's a lot, right? You're a physician, especially a critical care physician. It sounds very stressful to me. It would be, I understand like people have a lot of pressure, a lot of responsibilities and stuff. Like, how do you, as a father, manage that while trying to change this purpose, this passion, and this mission without losing yourself and while keeping it balanced? It's extremely challenging. So I think, I applaud and I see it from the outside, and then when you speak, and understand the real how it works and everything. So part of the podcast is to showcase how it really works at the back.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah. So, the first things first about, you know, marathon, half marathon training, fatherhood, being a husband, balancing life, work, everything else. It's about how real you are with yourself and
Yeah.
your situation. As a critical care physician, you know, long story short, it's about people that are at their sickest, that they have nowhere else to go, and unfortunately, they land on our doorstep.
Yeah.
And we have to be as real as possible with their situation. And more times than enough, I'm very blunt with families, about how real things can get, whether they want to hear it or not, or understand it or not. I'll do my best to help them understand. However, some people get it, some people don't.
Yeah.
With, in balancing life and all that stuff, it's about how real I can get with my situation. So, like, if I start my day early at work and it's a 12, 14-hour shift, and then I have training after that, um,
You're just
I have
like,
to be real with myself.
it's gonna
I
suck.
might be dead tired. It's gonna suck. You suck it up. If your real goal is one to finish half marathon or at a certain pace at a
Yeah.
certain time, you got to come to terms and be like, listen, I can do this on this day. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm not gonna be like, hey, I'm gonna run 20 miles on this day after a 14-hour shift on, dealing with life or death situations, unfortunately,
Yeah. You
because that
kind of
takes
just
a lot out
embrace
of
it.
you.
You kind of just
You
embrace
gotta
it.
take, you gotta do what you can when you can, how best you can.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot to say. I think when people talk about like authenticity and about being yourself and everything, it's like one, I used to hide kind of this side of like the honesty for me of being like authentic, but it's like no, I think this empowers me more when I share the other side of success, the other side, like
Absolutely.
the other side of the success, like in that poster and stuff. You have the little tip of the iceberg, and then you have like
Yeah.
80% of it underneath. That's where all the work is done, and for me and you, it's like I've done it since so long, since like high school. I played football. Like I met
Mhm.
Mo while playing football and while being in the weight room, right? And he had a year that he wrestled with me as well too. But doing that, like those little small acts over and over and over, we build like our character and just kind of embrace that life as you get older and stuff. It's not
Oh yeah.
like it's supposed to be hard. And I just
It's
at the
gonna
end of
be
the day, I
hard.
was like, you know what, just embrace it. And I've lied to myself in a good way, right? But I
Mhm.
think when you say being real with yourself, is not lying, right? I
It's
think.
not. It's not. Because the main thing is, as a coach, is we have to we have to get rid of the mirage we build ourselves or other people build for themselves. We people, of course, everyone's gonna come up with, hey, we're gonna have this grand business,
Yeah.
multi-million dollar business, living on a yacht. I'm gonna be going to work in a helicopter, my Bugatti, this and that, or going on vacation in, San Tropez, stuff like that. And having the lavish life, or even simple stuff like, hey, you know what, I'm going to have this beautiful house, I'm going to go to dinner and this and that, or even just, stuff like that where, but, but it's kind of a far remove from where you actually are,
Yeah.
like to be truthful with yourself and with your goals. That's where the empowerment, comes from.
Yeah.
The fact that you can find and actually be truthful with yourself, that's the first step
Honest. Yeah.
of developing yourself, because then that means you get rid of all the haze, you get rid of all the nonsense,
Yeah.
and you can actually take that first step forward and then build from that first step.
Yeah. I love it, man. I think it's definitely we line in like philosophies and stuff. It's like
Yeah.
the process of being an individual, a self-actualized person, independent thinking, uh, because it's like for anybody, I think that's the way to kind of go about it. It's easy, it's simple. But I know that you're kind of like uh, I can see the transformative growth that you've had since gone to like life coaching and everything. Can you tell me a little bit of like how you found your like niche and like what you're doing? Because you said you're in like mindset and critical thinking, which is
Yeah.
cool, right? I've learned
Yeah.
some strategies and like meta thinking, learning how to
Yeah.
connect the dots and stuff. Tell us a little bit about how you found that niche, and then also to like what type of mentors or influencers that listen to
Mhm.
got you to this point. Because I share on my podcast, I've had a few of my main mentors. I've had a lot of different mentors, but I have my main
Mhm.
ones. So tell me a little
Yeah.
bit about that.
So, the way I fell into critical thinking, mindset building is, like I said earlier, a lot of people nowadays, we've come into the age where people are followers. They want to be led.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be told what to do. You can YouTube anything and be told what to do. And but the skilled people lack is
Critical thinking.
thinking and problem solving and leading themselves and just make simple thing as making a decision. They're like, well,
A good
what do you
decision.
want to do?
A
Yeah.
good decision.
They're like, it's indecision will kill. It's whether it's life is simple enough, that it's a yes or no answer the majority of the time. You
Mm-hmm.
can literally simplify life to one or two things, two options. As crazy as that sounds, it's true. like, okay, we're gonna go to the grocery store. What should I get? Do you want to eat healthy or not?
Hmm.
You know, what am I gonna buy at the store today? Am I gonna buy something fancy? Gonna buy something, you know, lounging around in the house? It's simple stuff, but we overcomplicate life
Yeah.
because it's building up the haze. It's building up the clutter in our life rather than making things apples and oranges.
Yeah.
And
When you talk about
you
that
know,
haze, are you talking about like mind fog? Because I talk about
yeah,
mind fog a lot, where like something's good for you, right? And you want to
yeah,
do it, right? But you just don't do it.
oh yeah. Well, and that's the thing, mind fog, yes, but at the same time, it's like you fill your life with all these options, and the simpler you can make your life, the easier you make it for yourself,
Yeah.
and um, the way I got into it is just dealing with my patients, seeing my patients day after day. It's like, we deal with, I'm the chair of the resuscitation committee, which is essentially when patients have a cardiac arrest or when their heart stops.
Yeah.
Our team, the ICU team, are the ones that, go to the bedside, try to resuscitate the patient, do CPR, put them on a ventilator, things like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's simple. It becomes simple because it's like, will this help the patient live or will this help the patient, pass?
Yeah.
It comes down to those rudimentary things. And it's in a way, it's critical care. Yes, it sounds demanding. It sounds hard and taxing, but it's simple because yes, doctors, people, high functioning professionals, they go through all this training to do what? To build a foundation for themselves so that
Yeah.
when the time comes, their training will help them make yes or no, answers. And that's the thing. It's just like, yes, we're masters of the simple stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
or um, you know, at least we try to be masters of the simple stuff so that,
I
when the
think that
time
says a lot.
comes,
Yeah.
yeah, because it's like, a lot of people be like, well, so how are you able to make that decision? That's such a difficult decision. But it's the training that you build for yourself, that
Yeah.
you've done for yourself. And that as a life coach, I mean, no one's going to say, you know what, you are the foremost expert in mindset thinking, mindset building and critical thinking and life coaching, etc. It's based off your experiences.
Yeah.
It's based, life is what you make of it,
Yeah. I like
and
that. I like that for sure. I mean, it is your
and that's the
experience and
thing.
what you could share and like promote a lot of like self knowledge and stuff. And
Exactly.
that is kind of like what you're thinking about. And then it's so cool how like you're talking about like in a way, and I was like wondering like in a way like okay, you have to deal with people that are kind of near their death, right? Which is like one could
Yeah.
be a lot emotionally, right? People dealing with like or like therapists or teachers and stuff.
Hmm.
You deal with a lot of like emotions and stuff.
Hmm.
And in a way, I think your life coaching certification help you in a way dealing with like your emotions, people emotions, and just making it like just being real and honest with things like because I'm similar in that way too. Is like I can't help everyone,
Yeah.
and there's people that have come to me and been in low points, high points, and different points where like I help, especially when it's in
Yeah.
fitness and personal development. You people just they're honest with you, right? And how do
Yeah.
you like you learn how to manage that emotion, especially with somebody that has kids as well too. You have to transition to go
Hmm.
from home and leave that at home. How do you do that?
Correct.
You know?
So and one of the main things that I teach is emotional intelligence,
Yeah.
and nowadays, and the whole thing about indecision and critical thinking is that a lot of people, they reside their indecision in emotions, and whether or not they're going to feel a certain way if their decisions are met with
Mm.
resistance or not everyone will agree. No one's going to agree 100% with you. You know, everyone will have their opinion. It's their right. But it's whatever decision you make at that point was the best decision you made with the information and equipment you had
Hmm.
at that point. And yes, you can, and especially so take for your kids, like You have two young daughters, and we have to teach them emotional intelligence, emotional
Yeah.
resilience, because everyone will have a billion, you know, thoughts on whatever they do or say, but it's about how they come out on top.
Yeah.
Whatever decisions they make for themselves, they have to, and I say this a lot to families. A lot of, an example is recently I had a patient's family, and we were talking about end of life care, and whether or not to take their family member off the ventilator, you know, for the last time, and let them pass in peace. And the one thing that I always say to family is, I'm never going to pressure you. I'm I'm here to give you your options. I'm here to help you,
Yeah.
help answer questions that you may have. But at the same time, you have whatever decision you make, you have to be at peace with what decision you make,
Yeah.
and you have to go to bed with whatever decisions you make at the end of the day. And that's the thing. Just telling them that, what, for them to be at peace with that, they take themselves out of the equation. And they think about their family member first, rather than the selfish emotion of yes, I want my family member there
Yeah.
forever at all costs. But at
Yeah.
the same time, emotional intelligence, it will teach you, as the person being coached or the person seeking help, that, what, it doesn't matter about what people say. It's about what I can do for myself, for my family, for my son and my daughter, your daughters,
Yeah.
in my work. And that's the thing. A lot of people nowadays, they're not attuned with their emotions. They're too worried about the TikToks and the YouTubers and the Facebooks, and they're just like, everyone's
So
gonna think
let's talk a
otherwise
little
if I
bit
do
about
this.
more emotional intelligence. And something that
Yeah,
I think emotion intelligence, right? It's not like, for me, it's like, as a coach and stuff, when I coach people and when I gone through uh, my hard times and pick myself up from the hard times, is that you don't avoid the emotions, but you try to understand the emotions. I think for me,
absolutely.
like, trying to understand why I feel a certain way about myself. I think when I
Hmm.
was going through like my therapy, and I did a lot of like shadow work, is
Hmm.
for anybody that watches, like, I'm very like into philosophy, like Buddhism and Stoicism. And
Yeah,
Stoicism for me, like, it was a lot about just taking full responsibility of everything. And
yeah,
for me, like, when I was going through like my separation, my divorce and stuff, it's like I took full responsibility. That's why I went in such a dark hole. And then I worked on why I was feeling this way. And when I was starting to be real with myself and real authentic with myself, I started to find more peace within myself of why I
yeah,
was doing that way. And I started shedding a lot of like energies that a lot of people were putting off on me. So I mean, that's nice, like, to hear from you that, like, the detachment is something that it's, yeah, emotional intelligence is like, you could feel and understand people's emotion, but you're not so
yeah,
caught up in that, so it drains you, because you have to be, like, a very strong person. And part of life coaching and being a father and stuff, to me, it's like, you
yeah,
have to be a very strong person, emotionally intelligent person. Like, when I have daughters and stuff, I have to be able to, like, not be a dad sometimes. I had to be a mom sometimes. And
yeah,
that to me is emotional intelligence. I have the
yeah,
the mom side
absolutely.
in me, you know. But yeah, man,
But
I think when you talk about peace and stuff,
yeah,
finding that, do you think you found some peace, or are you helping people find peace?
I then that's the thing. I do believe that I've helped a lot of people find peace with themselves, and that's the thing for a lot of people, especially with people that suffer from anxiety, depression, or even just dealing with life issues. You know, it's the reason why people deal with these issues, they seek help for it, is because they themselves are not able to stand face to face comfortably.
Yeah,
At some point they do, but they may shy away for a period of time, but it always lingers in the back of their mind,
yeah. It's like
and,
regret.
and
That's the
that's
feeling of regret,
exactly.
right?
Exactly. And the problem is with that is that the more you shy away from your emotions, And that's what all emotional intelligence partly is about, is you you confront the emotion. And what I want your listeners, my clients, and everyone to understand is that emotions don't define you. There's a difference between I am and I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Emotions are feelings, and that's the thing. They're transient. I if I say I feel stupid, does that mean I am stupid?
Right.
If I feel sad, am I sad? No, I am transiently sad for this period
Yeah.
of time. But that's the thing. It's what you want to do is identify one first things first is identify the emotion that you're feeling,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be jealousy, it'd be sadness, it'd be uh, anything at that point, anxiety, and then face it, because that's the hardest part, is facing what torments you, you know. And then after that, once you're able to get over that massive hurdle of validating
Yeah.
and encountering that emotion, is why are you? And that's my whole big thing about critical thinking and mindset building is the question of why.
Why? Start with
You
why.
know,
I do that
why
a lot in
why
my
and that's the
coaching.
thing. And that's the thing, is be like, you know what, you're anxious, but why? Can you
Mm-hmm.
tell me why? If you can't tell me why, then this conversation is for nothing.
Right.
Because now you're just giving that emotion power over you. That time where you're not encountering and validating it and working through it, you're just giving more power to that.
Yeah.
You're distancing yourself from the question and answer of why,
Yeah.
instead of why not. Why am I not encountering this and validating and
Yeah. That's
working through the
interesting,
problem?
man. The way that you say when you like identify the emotion and stuff. Sometimes I think we get so caught up in with this identity of like, hey, I'm this person, and you people
Correct.
hold on to it. It's like an identity. It's like whether we like I've always been this chubby guy, right? Like if I because I grew up,
Yep.
everybody knew me as like the chubby short kid, right? If I had like hung on to that identity because everybody had said that, I would have continued to be just the chubby fat goofy kid, right? But as like in my identity, I tried to change and like change who I am from the inside. And it manifests itself in that way, right? So emotional intelligence, emotions, I think they're real. And when you talk about like understanding it, and I really think it's more of like understanding that you're being a human being, right? You're being
Hmm.
this emotion at that time, but that isn't you.
Absolutely. Yep. Yep.
Like when I was going through my shit, and it was like I wouldn't say like I was depressed. Of course, I was depressed, right? But I would just
Yep.
say, look, I'm sad. I'm sad, and I've been sad, and there's reasons to be sad. Like when I was talking to therapists and like my friends,
Hmm.
I was like, yeah, that's a good enough reason to be sad and crying, and it was fine, and I was feeling that emotion of sadness, and when I feel emotions of like sadness, right, I understand it, right? I understand
Hmm.
why I feel sad and why I've gone through things because I processed it, and now it's who I am as a not as a life coach, somebody that's coaching other people. Is like the only way to really transform like an identity or like traumas and stuff that's like happened and stuff is really to change that story inside you. I think what you're telling and helping people identify like emotions and stuff, it's fantastic, and learning how to think on their own, man, because it's so every time I coach, it seems to me is that a lot of people are very confused, right, with like when you say TikTok, the social media and everything, and what
Yep.
we're trying to identify is like there's some kind of wisdom that your body has, there's some kind of wisdom that you have, and we have to start being more attuned to it, right? Is
Yeah.
that kind of what you're saying?
Oh yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's the thing. I mean, like, of course, you guys like see Instagram and all these TikToks and all that stuff, and it's like you see they only portray the highlights, the good, the really really good stuff and the really really bad stuff at times,
Hmm.
and that's how you get views. That's how you get likes. Because will people associate with that? Yeah, sure, of course. People have their highlights, people have their downtimes, but at the same time, who posts just the regular stuff?
Yeah.
You know, who posts the daily ins and outs? who
Yeah.
post the daily battles that people have,
Tell a little bit this
and
about Daily Drive and your community that you
yeah,
created, and what the purpose and mission behind it is, and how we could support you on our end here.
yeah. So Daily Drive is essentially my coaching business, and that's the thing. I rather not call it a business most of the time because it's it's meant to it's meant to bring about your why, your daily why,
Uh-huh.
and
You could call it a community.
as a
I call
coach,
mine a community.
it, acuity, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, just call it a
and
community.
so and that's the thing. It's like as a coach, as a father, it's like why? Not a lot of people want to ask that question.
Hmm.
And it's easy enough to ask all the other questions in the world, but to ask yourself, why am I getting up so early? Why am I going to bed so late?
Yeah,
Why am I going to this job that doesn't fulfill me? Why am I pushing off something that I really want to do? And why is this bringing me fulfillment?
yeah,
Coaching and everything. It's once you can, like what I said, once you can identify what the why is, it's not about why not me. It's
why?
why is my,
Why am I
now I
doing this?
have all
Why
the
am I doing that?
reasons,
Yeah, it's a different feeling,
exactly,
right? It really is a
exactly.
different
And
feeling
it's
instead of
absolutely,
like I have to wake up. You don't have to fucking wake up.
no,
You
no,
really
and that's the
don't.
thing, because it's like, you know what? It's like, what, like, yeah, sure, I have to wake up. It's like, okay, okay, so I'm being punished. Like what, yeah, I have to wake up. That doesn't, okay. I have
Yeah,
to eat this. No, like I have to work out in a certain way. I get to.
yeah.
I
You get
can
to.
do this. This is
Yeah,
my why.
it's a big
And
identity shift.
it,
You get to
it's
like people ask you like, how do I eat
it's
bodybuilding
all,
and stuff? It's different.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. And that's the thing. It's you. Daily Drive is meant to teach you how to quote unquote reword your life,
Hmm.
rework it, so that instead of, like what you said, identifying in a certain manner, as you said, like the chubby funny kid,
Hmm.
short funny kid, that's not who you are.
Yeah,
You're Sam Man. You create shit for
yeah,
yourself. You create shit for people,
yeah,
and that's, you created a bodybuilding physique, a lifestyle for yourself, for other people. You
yeah.
created a community for people, and that's Daily Drive. We are here because we want to help you find what pushes you day after day, and how we can build on that.
I like it, man. Great, man. I think it's like a lot of our stuff align. The daily drive, the motivation, and like the identity stuff and
Yeah.
everything. Some of your mentors, or who your biggest influence in your life too, like whether it be like family members or somebody that's out there in
Yeah.
the personal development or any field. I want to know.
Uh, first and foremost, my patients and their
Yeah,
families, they teach me a lot, you
your
know,
patience in your family. Yeah.
um, because it's hard when people break down to tears, when they identify with their emotions. They're not able to rationalize and make proper decisions. You know, they help me build myself, my thinking, and in that I can try to help them, um, like what I say, come to peace with their decisions.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's what's good for what benefits their family member that's in the bed first and foremost, and what will benefit them 10 from now, not with regret, rather than peace
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
decision they've made. And I, other mentors, I have people that are not in the ICU, on, sick in the bed.
Mhm.
I have Sahil Bloom. Um, he's been an up and coming mentor for me unofficially.
Okay.
And I follow him on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and his daily knowledge is great. I highly support him, and people should follow his stuff on YouTube, on Instagram.
What was his name?
Quick stuff, but useful stuff.
What was his name?
Sahil Bloom,
Sahil Bloom.
Sahil Bloom.
What's
Yeah,
kind of his
bloom like
niche?
flowers. So he was in finance for a number of years, and then he
Hmm.
branched out from that. Wanted to create his own stuff, and now he's in public speaking, empowerment. Um,
Yeah. Okay.
he
Personal
still has a
development.
number of holdings in business and stuff like that, but it's about his realization, like us, that we're meant for a bigger purpose, that
Yeah.
there's something else that we can do in this world other than like you were doing your real estate game
Yeah.
for a minute, but then you know and I'm still doing my physician stuff, but it's like, yeah, we can still do that, but at the same time
I still think
we're
about.
meant for more than what we're doing.
Yeah.
Exactly, we're elevating ourselves to help others.
Yeah, man. I think that's very empowering to hear. Where like we're at some stage of life where okay, maybe the career path. Because I talk about it and I have two older brothers. They're about like 8 years, 10 years older than
Hmm.
me. Our path is not where like we just take one career and then just live the rest of your life. Right now, we're trying to incorporate more mission, meaning, purpose behind like our work as well too. So it sounds like you found like a mission and purpose behind what you're doing as well too. And what you said about like your patients
Hmm.
and learning from them, like the same as with me is like when I spend more time asking good questions and spending more time listening, I learn more myself about my clients. I learn more myself about myself,
Absolutely.
because I'm processing these thoughts through myself. And when I'm processing these thoughts, I'm thinking about what they're thinking as well too. So it's making me more like connected and like to
Hmm.
people as well too. So it becomes a really good practice. So I like
Absolutely.
going into like that area, and I feel it's pretty neat. I think you gotten fairly close towards like your mission and everything. Um, and then tell me a little bit about like how you balance like family. Is it just that you're just very clear with your communications and set boundaries? Like,
Yeah.
like how,
Yeah. No, well, I have two kids.
yeah,
My son is 3, my daughter is 5, and you know, family life is the never-ending roller coaster that never wants to stop.
yeah,
It's one of those things that you know, no one has a written book. It's just how it's day by day,
yeah,
and just like and it's I take a deep breath because it's like um, I find it, for me, deeply emotional being a father, because it brings me, as fast paced as life gets at work, it's they bring me back to where I should be
yeah.
mentally,
They ground you.
emotionally.
Yeah,
Yeah, because it's you know one time I was walking with my son, and then one time with my daughter, and I was just looking down, watching their footsteps, like while they're walking me, while I'm holding their hand, and I was like, he's trying to basically just like run with me while I'm walking really slow. And for me, I think that I'm walking normally, normal pace, even slow, but he's trying to catch up to me. Like, even though but he's trying to hang back. He's trying to be where he is and present and everything. And
yeah,
I'm just trying to get to places. And it's like, and I've said this in a post one time and one on my Instagram, that you know look at your children. They're not worried about the past. They're not worried about the future. They're worried about the toy that they're playing with,
yeah,
the meal that they're eating, and the picture that they're drawing. And that's beautiful. That's what helps me balance my family life, because that's that brings everything into perspective.
yeah.
The balance will create itself once, when
I think you
I
create an
allow things to fall into
emotional.
place. Yeah.
I think for you, for being like an emotionally balanced person, right, that understands their emotions and stuff, it's like when you say it's emotional, it's like when I'm best at my being a parent, being a dad, is when I can feel the emotion when I'm not distracted with like my work or
Yeah.
something, or like a
Oh
TV,
yeah.
when I'm actually like, if they're crying and I could actually just like sit there and just like be there present with them, they tend to calm down a lot quicker. Because I
Oh yeah.
think when we deal with like energies, emotions, and stuff, these are like real and like emotions and stuff. And us as like fathers and people, like we're the bigger force. Like if
Yeah.
we stay calm and controlled with our emotions, anybody, like for me, is like that's how, like when I feel like I'm best at parenting is when I'm completely like present
Yeah.
and just paying attention to like and it's hard, right? I can't, like, even though like I could pay attention and concentrate, but it's still very hard because it's parenting. You can't always be 100%, but when you are there
Absolutely.
100% emotionally there as well too and present with them, you could start to feel and understand them, and you could even communicate better. I think for me,
Absolutely.
like, it's not they might have a smaller brain, but if you could dumb down what you need to say and feel their emotions, and it'll come off as like understanding it teaches a lot. Because like for me, is like when I became a parent, that was a transformative experience as well too, and everything. But
Yeah.
maybe since you're in the life coaching and the critical thinking, let's pick a little bit about your expertise, critical thinking and mindset building. Uh, I've been big into studying like neuroscience and quantum
Yeah.
physics and stuff to understand how the brain works. And I've always been into like psychology. So
Mhm.
critical care as like a physician and having like a big life, what practices did you do to kind of make sure that you are uh, keeping everything clean? Do you meditate or anything, or is it running or
So
mindfulness
for
practice?
me, yeah, so for me, it was a lot of meditation uh, before, during my residency, during my training and fellowship. Then, once I became full-fledged attending, and put my big boy pants on, I had
Yeah,
to, time kind of got limited. Yes, I know you can do like some 2-minute meditation, some breathing, this and that. But at the same time, it's like sometimes life gets the best of you,
yeah, you can't do
and
it.
you just have to find, what you can do at the point at that time. So like for me, going to the gym, running, that was my sounding board. That was me being able to vent, because again, that, you know, you can definitely attest to this, is like when you go to the gym, you become radically honest with yourself.
Yeah,
You have measurable things as how many reps you can do, what weight you can go up to, you know, what you see in the mirror, for bodybuilding and physique, you know, striations and everything.
yeah,
It's those are measurable, and that's when you become radically honest with yourself. And that's during those things like going to the gym and running, that's where I become radically honest with myself and how I feel. And yes,
radically
I'm
honest.
more present, and realizing what I'm feeling or what I felt throughout the day. Um, and one of the main things that I've started doing is like if I've really had a bad day at work, and it's just like, of course you don't want to bring that negative energy to home, and the
Yeah,
kids are, they're ready to jump in your arms, and you just don't even want to talk to anyone or look at anyone and this and that. It's like just take 5 minutes to yourself in your car or just outside your door and just breathe.
yeah,
Just
that
breathe.
little
And then it's
transition.
like, exactly, because it's like you have to find some way for yourself. That works for me. It might not work for you, it might not work for a lot of people, but for me that works because at least that helps me dissociate between work life and then personal life. And but to each their own, because you know what? And that's the thing. It's like whatever you do to come to peace with the decisions you make. And that's the thing. Life is all about decisions. You can decide to just be like, screw it. I'm just gonna go in and just be like, everyone's gonna hear about my day. I'm gonna ruin everyone's life right now.
Yeah,
And that's the thing. Kids are
you
sponges.
can.
They're gonna feed off of that. You can't let that happen. But
Yeah,
that's up to you. It's up to you. You decide how things play out. And yes, the breathing is. I still incorporate breathing practices.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
think that's what
of
life
course, you know,
coaching.
we got our aura rings. So,
You know, the
um,
funny thing is, like, when I started telling people like I was gonna be a life coach, maybe like 2 or 3
yeah,
years ago, they were like you're gonna teach people how to breathe and stuff, like you know, like the old idea of like a life coach.
that's
I was
yeah.
like, man,
Well, that's
it's
the
not
thing.
like
I
a
mean, look,
stereotype,
exactly. But that's the thing. It's like
but
you
breathing's
you
real.
decide what it is. Yes, absolutely, it is real. And then that's the thing. People have that stigma. They already have a mindset of what like life coaching is, or what bodybuilding is, or
Yeah,
what being a physician is like. But it's like, do you really know what it is, or are you just making up that wall where
yeah,
you're just like, this is what it is. That's all I know. You know, that's not what it is. It's you got to make you got to be explorative. You have to
yeah. You have to
realize that
be
life is bigger
interested.
than what you think it is.
Yeah. I like what you said about radical honesty, right? That word radical, like really like extreme, just taking ownership of like what the hell that you have to do, whatever you signed up for. For me, it's
Absolutely.
like you signed up for this, you know. Like if you had if
Yeah.
you chose to be a bodybuilder, if you chose to be a marathon runner, if you chose to be a physician, you chose this life. So it's like that mindset, that mentality of taking full ownership and like
Yeah.
radical honesty.
And
Um,
that's the thing with radical honesty. It's like a lot of people, they don't want to be honest, one with themselves and two with others,
yeah,
because it goes back to that emotion of one, just not having people what other people are thinking and caring about that, for one. And then two, just be like, you know what? I don't want to think that about myself.
yeah.
You know, that's just gonna bring me into a bigger hole than where I'm at right now. But it's like, but yeah, so what, are you just gonna make yourself think that you are a certain way for the rest of your life, when you can actually be, you know, empower yourself to something that's bigger than this, and just be like, you know what? I'm not that. I want to be honest with myself. And this is, and you know, Jocko Willink actually, you know, he brought me up on radical honesty. It's like you have to be real with yourself in the situation that you're in,
Did you
because
he had a follow-up book called the Dichotomy of Leadership, and I
yeah,
actually had
yeah,
to read that book and really understand that because
yeah,
he actually explained that in the book. You could take full responsibility so much that it's kind of bad, you know.
of course,
How do you balance that where like, because I got to a point where I took so much responsibility that it put me in like a deep depression, and then I started having to learn how to like surrender, you know, all the things that I couldn't control. And that
yeah,
really actually helped me. And that book helped me too. Like his follow-up book was good too. So we could talk about that too.
yeah. So, you know, ownership is a great thing, because yes, one means that you are being honest with yourself, that it's not just, if you're part of a team, that it's everyone else's fault and it's not my fault. The fact that you're being honest with yourself, that yes, I own a piece of what happened,
Yeah.
you know. And to that same effect, yes, it can be bad if you say it's 100% my fault. But because what that means is that, you know what, despite everything else, you know, even the stuff that I couldn't control is my fault. And
Mm-hmm.
what you were talking about, you know, with stoicism and everything, one of the major tenets of stoicism is control what you can control,
Yeah.
you know. And if you've done as best as you can, and you can control the variables that you can control,
Yeah.
how is
Absolutely.
everything else your fault? You know, you can't. You can only cover what you can cover.
Yeah.
There's only, and you know, Jocko will probably say, you know, there's only, you can plan for all the contingencies in the world, but if aliens are on the battlefield, well, you know what? I didn't think of that one. You know,
Yeah.
you know,
It's a very like warrior mindset where you think about, for me, it's like when I do my meditation, my practice and stuff, I'm preparing myself just in case something happens. And
yeah,
mentally preparing yourself gives you somewhat like a confidence to go into, like for me it's like when I look at like daily, when you say daily drive, to me it's like a daily battle for me having to get up and fight this feeling of not wanting to get up. I don't like, there's some days where I don't want to get up, where like I'm completely broke off from my training and I don't want to do it, and I don't want to do my training modules and recording all the content and stuff that I'm doing. There's these things that I have to fucking like lie to myself And I do want to talk about one thing. I know it's like something
Yeah.
very interesting, especially like when we get into like the medical field and like identity and like medication and stuff. Because there's sometimes there's like medication that's tied to like attention deficit disorder, and then
Mhm.
how should people, or like you as a physician, I want to get your idea of like when to use medication, when to get off medication, how to go more of a holistic route of, because I know you're good doctors don't want people on medication. They want
100%.
everybody off of it, right? People
100%.
under like they I don't think they understand that doctors
Yeah.
don't want you to be on medication, right?
100%. You
Yeah,
know, uh, and that's the thing. It's no fault of our patients, because it's kind of hard to see it, because yes, we do push medications on patients. The reason why, and I'm one of those physicians, and the people that I work with, I know are not are the same type of physician, that we don't want people on medications.
yeah,
Medications are crutches. If you have an acute need for them, absolutely, I will be more than happy to give you a medication to help, fix what's going on with you. But it's not an end all be all.
yeah,
It's not going to be the crutch that's going to carry you out through life. It's going to help you momentarily, but what will you do to help yourself? You know, Diabetes medications are meant to help with the, the signs, symptoms, after effects of diabetes. But at the same time, it's like, are you willing to put in the diet and exercise?
yeah,
Or are you just going to go to the doctor and just be like, I need a refill?
yeah,
We're just going up on your medications. Why? Oh, I'm
yeah,
still eating 6 Big Macs a day. I'm still sitting on my couch.
yeah,
You know, and that's the thing. That's where the job of being a coach. It's also that also intercedes in my job as a physician, because it's like, I'm here not just to say, you know what, you need to go up on your medications. You need this another medication. Like
you
what I
are,
said, by all means, I'll give you whatever medication you need at that point to help you. But at the same time, I'm gonna give you the skills, whatever I can do. If I need to refer you to physical therapy, or a
yeah,
psychiatrist or something, so that you can do things for yourself. Because I mean, that's half of the battle, is whether or not you're willing to put in the work.
yeah. So
And
when you come to medication, that
yeah,
it's something that could handle and take care of like a side effect, right?
absolutely,
But what the idea is to get to a point where like you're making like lifestyle changes to
absolutely,
resolve that issue. Yeah. I think
absolutely.
it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And I
so
think when
for
we
for
talk about it,
example,
like there's like the people that get it, and then there's people
yeah.
that it goes like over
Oh yeah.
here. For the people that like, if you're coaching somebody and you're like, this will be my last question, but like if you're
Yeah.
coaching somebody that you know that they want to get it, but they just don't
Mhm.
know how to get it. Because there's a lot of people I know that I'm working with. It's like they know they need to change this lifestyle, but
Mhm.
how to get there, how to make this identity shift. I'm sure you're kind of facing that with like your coaching clients, or like people. You have those people that you know that they want to have like a healthier lifestyle. They know that they need
Yeah.
to block off time. They need to do this personal development type of work. How do you get them to do it?
Most of the time, it's literally going to be time, and just staying with them, because through the process, because a lot of times they don't even give themselves the time to
Yeah,
think about things, to
time.
rationalize things out. Because if you think about it, you'd be like, yeah, no, I want to be healthier. I want to lose 20 pounds.
Yeah,
But at the same time, you're just like, no, 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 that's not that's I want to do it in like a week. I got to go to Cancun next week, so I got to lose 20 pounds in a week. you
yeah.
know
It's terrible. I
or
hear that all the time.
yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, are you willing to give yourself the time to be patient with yourself, be patient with the process, if anything? you know Diet and exercise, it's hard. Yeah, you know believe me, you get it, I get it. It's
Oh,
doing what we do, for bodybuilding, for running. you know we don't want to do it a lot of the time, but we need to do it. And it's whether or not you give yourself that time for the process, for you to rationalize through the why you're doing it, you know, and how to do the process.
Yeah.
What's your plan of actually going through that process?
Yeah.
Because and actually Sahil Bloom, I saw one of his excuse me, YouTube posts, and he was like, oh, I had no, this was his newsletter. It's like, for your goals, it's like bring your future self into the present,
Yeah.
you know, and that resonated with me because it's like, yes, you know, my 10-year outlook would be, I'm more so of a coach, still a physician, but at the same time, the
Still a
worlds
person.
are, you know, it's
Yeah.
still, yeah, it's still,
Still
I'm
you.
bringing that future person. I'm bringing my almost, shoot, though at that point I'll be 50. I'll be, you know, bringing that 50-year-old
No, I get
me
it.
to my 40-year-old me and be like, you know what, hey, this is what you have to look forward to.
Yeah. It really comes down
Are
to
you willing to
time.
put in that time?
Time as an investment. I think what people, what I tend to see is that we're not concentrated and intentional with our time. So I think getting back to
Absolutely.
like
That's a different
you
podcast.
can't work 24/7 like
Yeah,
continuously at the same thing, but being more intentional on what we're focusing on and what direction we're going to,
yeah.
I think is extremely important. Um, but awesome, man. I think that's gonna be our last question for the podcast. Is there anything that you want to before we do our outro? If you want to plug anything, let us
Yeah,
know something that you want to put in the universe.
yeah.
Say what you
Thank
can.
you. So, you know, I'm in the process of, you know, building my website, dailydrive.co. I am still on Instagram. Believe me, I've been a little bit lazy, but at the same time, Sam, you can understand, two toddlers and
Understand?
you know, full-time job. Yeah, so
We
it's
gotta
one of
get
those
some
things
video
that
of
it's
you up
building.
there, man. We gotta get some.
I
We gotta
know,
get
I
a face.
know, I know a lot of, damn it, I know that's what I've been told. I got to put my
So
face on there.
this is part of the launch to get you comfortable with
Yeah,
the camera
there you
and
go.
stuff and talking out
I
there.
never been I never been good in front of the camera, but we'll make it happen. We'll make it
You
happen.
can speak. You did a good
Um,
job on today's podcast.
thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. But yeah, you know, look out for it. It should be in the works in the next month.
Okay. Perfect. When he's part of the Peak Performance Academy community and the community and everything. So I'll put Paulie's show note or contact information in the show notes. So if you and you share with your network as well too with Daily
Yeah,
Drive, and we'll continue to support each other on the journey and our message of personal development, improving with critical thinking. So just to wrap up the show, I know Paulie is running you train for a half marathon, right? And then you're running a marathon.
yeah. So I'm currently training. I'm actually running the RBC Brooklyn Half Marathon May 18th, Saturday, May 18th, and I'm fingers crossed trying to get into the New York City TCS Marathon.
Yeah.
But if I don't get into that, I'm going to register for the closest marathon possible, so I can
Okay.
get, you know, test my mettle on the road, and
You
let's
got
see what I got.
something. You got something to report back and share with our because I do want
Yeah, I
to
got
invite our
something down the line.
anybody that's a guest on the podcast to come back and give us updates to show that you're actually
Yeah,
been working. So I did
all
have
good, man.
one of our first guests. His name was Eamon, a high school friend of mine. He's always been a bigger guy, but he said that after coming on the podcast, he said that he wanted to run a 5K, and I challenged him to run eventually a mile, or not a mile, a marathon. And
Yeah,
he put it out on his Facebook, and he's got a ton of love on this post that he put it was like 50 comments on there. So, it's like we're doing something,
all good, man.
Yeah, that's
That's
the
awesome.
wrap of the end of the show. I just give a little wrap of what we're doing, and just having
Yeah,
conversations about personal development, coaching, the next level, trying to elevate and help support each other in sharing, spreading that message as well too. In a way, I got so much from this conversation from you, Paul. How to see
likewise,
everything,
man.
and for me, like for speaking to a doctor, you speak very in like layman's terms, not so highly like. And that's for me. Like, yes, I have read a lot of books and everything, but I just speak in like layman's term, and that to me, I think, really shows an understanding of a subject where you could just dumb it down. It's not like, for me, it's like when I coach, yeah, I could speak very high technical and say all the
Yeah.
stuff, but at the end of the day, like, we know who our audience is, we know who the message that we're trying to get to, and it's more
Yeah.
important for us to get the message clearly out there to help, like,
But keep in mind, Sam, like, listen, you know, being a doctor, being a coach, it doesn't matter because it's like associating with who's in front of you. You know, whether it be a 3-year-old, you know, a 72-year-old, or, you know, a colleague, you know, if we can see eye to eye and, you know, not talk like Huberman and say, you know, like all these elaborate 32-letter words,
there's some people
you know,
that, I mean, we need it.
you
We
know,
need it.
we of course we could talk technical, we can talk about logistics and all that stuff, semantics, but at the same time, it's like if we can put what we know on the table and we understand and we have a common ground, you know, we can do anything.
Yeah,
Your client can do anything. You know,
yeah,
but it's all about how you associate with the one in front of you.
yeah. Absolutely, man. Spot on, spot on. And we're at the hour mark. I'm really good with time. I know I respect your time, and
All
I
good, brother.
appreciate you coming on the podcast, and make sure to share, and we'll be in touch. So if you need to contact Paul here, we'll put daily drive and information out there. So he's critical thinking and mindset coaching. That's awesome, man. Love to hear what you're doing. And we'll touch base, or we'll be in touch.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, my friend.
Sounds good, man. I'll take care. Bye.